Right. Hello, everybody. Gerard Leone here. Let me turn the camera. Hi, everybody. Hopefully, you can also see me. And but I'm not going to torture you with this image for a very long time. I am going to be transferring over the presentation that we have here for you. If you were expecting to see Richard, I'm sorry about that. You're stuck with me, but Richard had a small family emergency, and I took over for him. So let me start with introductions here, and oh, it looks like someone is hearing some finger tapping, and I'm sure Ian, who's on the other side of the line, will help out with this. Um, in the way of introductions, my name is Gerard Leone. I am one of the principals with the Leonardo Group, and I am in charge of our Lean Hospital practice. So, with that in mind, would you be so kind, if there are any folks that are hospital folks, would you be so kind to just give me an H on your chat box so I know if I have any hospital folks, just to make sure that if I have some stories about hospitals, I tell them if they are if they are relevant. But if they're not, I will only refer back to examples or stories from manufacturing, which is where I come from. I have been implementing the tools of flow in hospitals only for the last 15 years. The prior 20, I see a couple of H's. So yeah, I will talk a little bit about hospitals, but I promise for the manufacturing majority, I will not talk too much. But some of the stories are very interesting and illustrate the importance of understanding your material delivery system. So that is the topic today. Mixed model material management from the standpoint of supporting a mixed model material flow line or a high mix low volume flow line. Now, also, this applies pretty much the way we're going to discuss it applies to a hospital. In one place where you can see it very well, for those of you hospital folks, where you can do this assessment that we're going to be discussing, is in the procedural areas, primarily the procedural areas. Why? Because they use much more in the way of medical supplies than anybody else. So the OR, very good place to start. So I am going to be transitioning over to the transitioning onto the presentation. So let's see, we're going to do that right now. So I'm going to turn off the camera, and we should see the right now. So I am sure that this title is familiar in a certain way to many of you. And yes, we did not invent this, nor do we claim to be the inventors of this topic. It's a very, very important topic, and we're going to make a recommendation for you to acquire a copy of an article that the original name of the article was How to Read a Plan Fast, or Reading a Plan Fast. And that is the methodology and the thinking that we want to apply here. So we're going to be mentioning that article in a couple of occasions. So onto the webinar topics. These are the very quick things we're going to be discussing. Now, towards the end, towards the middle, I have a spreadsheet that I want you to download if you're interested, which is the spreadsheet that guides you through the Read Your Material System Fast. So please do download it. It's going to be useful. And towards the end, a couple of things I need from you. One of them is an offer to sign up for our online mixed mold material management class. But also, I have a question that I need to ask you, and I am going to need your feedback. We're soliciting feedback from many of our trusted students, and we really do value what you guys have to say. So I need you to be ready for that question and to give me your answer about that. So this is what we're going to be talking about. First of all, what is mixed mold material management, right? We're going to be talking about the rapid plan assessment and as it applied to the manufacturing side and to the material side the of the equation. As we always said when we teach mixed model materials management, mixed model line design, this bird, the line, the enterprise, the value stream needs two wings to fly. One of them is the line, the actual line design, and the other one is mixed model materials management. The elements that go into the rapid plan assessment, you're going to see we're going to be using the acronym RPA, so be ready for that. RPA, Rapid Plan Assessment, and what to do. So what do we do with all of this? So let's talk about this. What is mixed mold material management? Is a system that applies to either a mixed mold line design or a high mix low volume line. It includes multiple different material flow methods. It includes multiple different tools and methods like plan for every part, PFEP, plan for every part, the design of delivery routes, Kanban, kitting, sequencing, MRP push, multiple different elements. Many times when folks find themselves looking to improve on their material system, they make the rushed decision of, well, everything is on Kanban. Everything is Kanban. Kanban is a great tool, unquestionably an awesome tool, but it is not the only tool. And for those of you just getting started, we're going to mention this more than once. For those of you just getting started, you need to aim at around a 75% materials on Kanban. But there are many other materials that need to be accounted for, and Kanban ends up becoming the easy part of it. All right? So, multiple different tools, multiple different methods, including mixed materials management. And what's our goal? To make sure that we always have what we need when we need it, that the operator always have what she needs at the right time, in the right location, in the right container, at the right cost. And for those of you who have attended our class, you know when we talk about the 7 rights, right? The right material, the right time, at the right location, the right quantity, the right cost, in the right container, etc. Yeah? Which, by the way, we did poach from our dear friends in hospitals when they talk about the 5 rights of medication, for those of you in the hospital business. So that is what we're looking to do. Article recommendation. Please go get yourself a copy of this article. I know it's an oldie but goodie. Yes. And it comes from the Harvard Business Review. Read it, plan fast. Excellent article. It has the forms, and I am going to ask my dear friend Ashok here, who is in the webinar, to let us know what is the website, Ashok, that you mentioned where folks can also get some information on Read It, Plan Fast. So please get a copy of the article. I would give it to you if I could, but that ain't legal. So when you look at that article, when you look at this concept of Read It, Plan Fast, you're going to find multiple different dimensions of how to read a plant quickly. You go out to the floor just armed with your eyes, right? No notes. Don't take any notes. It will distract you from observing. Yeah? And you go and you look for certain specific dimensions and aspects of those dimensions. And you're going to see that we have all the elements here. And frankly, we recycle this slide from our talk on Read a Plan Fast. And what we did here is notice that we highlighted with the red box the ones that apply to materials. These are the things, these are the dimensions you need to focus on when you go out to assess a material system quickly. So there they are, right? Look at the first two: safety, environment, cleanliness. You know, the 5S side of things, along with visual management. Those two go to your 5S, 6S, 7S dimension. The scheduling system, right? How materials will arrive to match the way the products are scheduled, the line is sequenced. Yes. Then we go here to use of space, right? How are materials taken to the line? Are we delivering those materials in large containers and pallets and gaylords in large wire baskets, or we're looking at a plan for optimizing the use of containers? Go into the next one. Do you see lots of materials? Are we looking at great quantities of materials? You know, you can you give them the dust test? And by the way, I see that my good friend Ashok has shared with us that link. Please go ahead and copy it. Thank you, Ashok. Always, I know I can always count on you. Levels of inventory. Do we see great piles of inventory? I have a couple of stories about that. And then supply chain integration. Are we including our suppliers onto the equation? A couple of points about that we will be making, and also a word of caution. On many of these things, we're gonna talk about, important aspects of them, things to look for as you do this assessment, but also some warnings as to when to do certain things. What is the right sequence? It's the first thing we should do to go ahead and bring suppliers on board. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So, how do we do this assessment? This is what we're talking about, an assessment. We're not talking about improving the material system. We're talking about going out to the floor and with the use of your eyes, and of course, everything else that's behind them, to do a quick assessment that afterwards you're going to document. Trust me on that one. Don't try to document while you are on the floor. It will detract you. It will take longer. Yeah? Go out to the floor with a team. Normally, we'd like to see 4 to 5 people and one person in charge as a leader. Yeah? We would like to see also on that team folks that understand what is that they're going to go see. So out to the floor with folks that understand that manufacturing environment, folks that understand what parts they're going to be seeing, folks that are familiar with a factory floor. I'll let you pick them. Yeah? Folks with production experience, but also make sure that in that team, you also have a couple of outsiders. And by outsiders, I mean someone from purchasing, someone from engineering, outsiders from the standpoint that they do not build the product, they not supervise the line. Why? Because they're going to have the license to ask questions that the folks from the floor normally do not ask. So build yourself a team, 4 to 5 folks plus a team leader. Yeah? So now, this group needs to be familiar with what they're going to see. Yeah, I know I told you that they need to understand the factory floor, but also you need to take them out of their environment and give them a little bit of training. See, here it says initial training class. yes, lean principles, yes, but also they need to be trained on their own company. Maybe share with them the annual report. Maybe share with them what is being said about the company. What are the noises from the outside? Yeah. Also, what would you know about competitors? It doesn't mean this is going to become a benchmarking exercise, but make sure that the folks that go to the floor understand their own environment. Yes, we start with that, and then you give them a little bit of background as to what else is going on in the world with respect to their business situation. Yeah. Now, this training, we're not talking about long training. If you are over one morning, that's too long. All right. Now, once this is done, we walk the shop floor, we walk the OR or the perioperative services department or whatever department you're going to go assess. We go out to the floor and we do this rapid plant assessment. All right. So that is what we're going to do. Now, a few more tips. Don't take notes. I mentioned that already. Not gonna beat that up too much. Don't take notes. Yes? Now, you notice that we have multiple different dimensions we're going to be focusing on, right? There is a 5S visual management dimension. There is an inventory presentation dimension. Have a person, each member of the team, focus on one. Yeah. So assign a primary responsibility to each team member. Yeah. And one question that is always important for the team members is, and this is what you ask afterwards, is, and then they need to keep this in mind, is after what you've seen, would you buy the products that are made on this line? Yeah. So approximately 1 hour. It's a hard and fast rule. If it takes 70 minutes or for whatever reason your plant is large enough or the department is large enough that it takes 90 minutes, nobody is going to get hurt. I have worked with plants that I can walk the factory floor in half an hour, and I have clients with 2 million square feet, right? Hoping to do that in 1 hour is challenging. The same goes for my friends in hospitals. I have some hospitals with 8 ORs. A piece of cake to do that in 1 hour. I have hospital clients with 44 operating rooms, and if you hope to see the entire environment, you need to make sure that you take the time. Now, this is not a one-day review. This is read the material systems fast. So 90 minutes should be the top end of it. Yeah. Now, one thing that we have heard from some of our clients that they have seen work well is this quick benchmarking. You know that companies are nervous, especially competitors are nervous about, well, if you come in and take pictures and take notes and all that, this may be a problem. Well, how about we swap tours? You come to our plant, 1 hour, come and look. I'll go to one plant. I go to your plant, 1 hour, I'll go and look. Yeah. And if you are armed with this quick assessment or rapid plan assessment methodology, of course, you're going to come out ahead. Now, notice that we jump immediately to point number 2 here because we're focusing primarily on the material aspects. Sorry, sipping on my tea here. On the material aspects of the rapid plant assessment. So this is this first dimension, the 5S success 7S dimension. It boils down primarily to this. if it looks good, there is a pretty good chance that it is good. But then again, don't go by just that rule. I have worked with companies that put a lot of effort into custom containers, into absolutely beautiful presentation, only to have weeks and months worth of inventory in place. But if you walk into a place where you're kicking stuff out of the way, you're wading through a bunch of junk, well, there's a pretty good chance that that material system is pretty bad. Yeah. So again, you come in, you look. If it looks good, there is a pretty decent chance that it is good. Now, what do we mean by it looks good? First of all, you ask for a part. Is it easy to find? Yes or no? That is one of the observations you make, and you will be documenting this. Ease of finding parts. If you look at the parts, at the inventory at the different locations, can you easily count it? Can you easily estimate it? If you look at materials presented by MRP Push, right, you're likely to see a large container full of parts. And to figure out how much inventory is there, you would probably have to count it. If you have materials presented on Kanban, Kanban is a constant quantity in a container. And if the quantity is 20 per container and you have 5, well, you're pretty close to 100, right? Give or take a couple, you're pretty close to 100. So that makes Kanban one of our favorite methods, of course, but not the only one. Now, can the parts be retrieved easily? Can the product move easily without people having to make extra effort to move the materials? Also, air quality, noise quality, right? Noise level, air quality. If the place is uncomfortable to work in, there's a pretty good chance that things are not as good as they look. Also, is all the material properly labeled, marked, inventory is visible, all the tools, process and flow is very clear. So first we're going to come in and figure out if the place is a mess, and you're looking at a 5S, 6S, 7S dimension. For those of you, and I doubt there is anybody that's not familiar with the extension of the 5S system, the 6S normally refers to safety, and the seventh to security. Now, if you find yourself, you're doing this assessment, you've been put in charge of the 5S, 6S, 7S dimension, you need to stop, observe, and ask yourself, do I know where I am? Can I tell which line I am at, or which part of the line? Are there signs that tell me? Do I know when the next material replenishment route will come around? Do I know if I am in the middle of the line, at the beginning of the line, at the end of the line? Can I tell if the operators have clear instructions to work? Do I know how this line is doing? Do I know the level of knowledge of these operators? Can I tell the last time this line broke down? Can I tell if this line is working right now? Are there specific locations where I can go and ascertain all this information? And I'm going to show you quickly, I'm going to show you an example of one of these places where I can go stand and ascertain much of this information. Is there a production status board where I can tell where the line is at in terms of today's production? If the line is running or not, how do I know? Is there an and-on system that I can say, oh, there's the little cord, the button, the light, right? The end-on system doesn't need to be all three lights. Could it be that for you, what applies best is just one light, right? But can I tell where it is? Can I tell how it's activated? Can I tell if it is activated when it should be activated? When the end-on systems are implemented and the discipline not followed closely, they become just another ornament. Yeah. Are there any methods that aid the operators in identifying what parts are needed? Is there a pick the light system? Is there a kitting system? Are parts presented in bulk in small containers? So those are the questions that you're asking. Those are the questions that you're looking for. Yeah, makes sense? Now, this is from one of our clients. We love these kiosks where someone, normally is going to be a line lead, a supervisor, is going to go and write down or display an element of one of these dimensions, a metric. Yeah, it's going to indicate if there were any accidents, or is going to change the productivity metric, or is going to change the schedule attainment metric, whatever metrics are most important to you. Now, on this, those of you who can afford it might be tempted to say, well, let's go ahead and put a very nice electronic system with a large screen where all these things are updated automatically, pulling data directly from our MES, manufacturing execution system. Let me discourage you from that. Why? And this comes in part from common sense and experience, and in part from having seen a company like, well, Toyota, that doesn't use this, and they don't spend great amounts of money on this, and for good reason. Let me tell you, what we have noticed is that in using these methods for displaying metrics, whatever the metrics are, when you have to update those manually, there's a kinesthetic element to it. You are interacting with others. You bring the metric alive when you actually have to go and write down the number. And if to that you take it to the next level and add it to a stand-up meeting where you have to actually explain what happened to that metric, why did it go up, why did it go down, yes, then you make it very powerful. So when it is some sort of a disembodied system where things just pop up, well, yeah, I won't deny that it will save time of the person in charge, but at the same time, the metric doesn't come alive, and it run the risk of becoming just another ornament. Yeah. So this marks approximately the halfway point of our webinar, and what I'd like for you to do is Ian will very soon bring up for you a download button, so hopefully everybody will get a chance to see that download. And the rapid plan assessment that Ashok just shared with all of you, it comes with a series of forms. We took some of those forms, customized and modified them specifically for the material system. So go ahead and download this one for you. I'll give you a couple of seconds to download it, And if you have any trouble downloading, just let us know. We'll make sure that we make that available to you. So please make sure you download this. I think it'll be useful. Now, next, how is that line scheduled? Yeah. So another member of the rapid assessment team is in charge of the scheduling system. How is that line scheduled? Is it a pull line, a push line, a flow line? Can you tell what is the pacing process? Can you identify the different sequencing points or scheduling points? Is it at the beginning? Is it at the end? How can you tell? Can you tell because there is a sequencing board? Because there is a pile of orders? Are the orders sequenced in a specific format? Can you tell that by just standing, looking, and maybe asking a question or two, but with minimal distraction to the folks on the floor? That is what you're looking for if you are the team member in charge of looking at the scheduling system. Now, going back to the old times when we started in the consulting world, Richard and I, a long time ago, we were anti MRP warriors. Well, we matured, and when nowadays we say no MRP, what we're really referring to is the fact that those of you of a certain age will remember the days when MRP scheduling was scheduling all the different departments, right? By issuing the work orders to all the different departments. Well, many of those departments, when we design a mixed model flow line, we bring them together and we tie them, we link them and balance them, right? Using the tools of mixed model flow and from the visual point of view, primarily within process Kanbans. So there's no longer need for that MRP scheduling, but if you did not turn off those work order issues, well, you're going to be producing paper and maybe even worse, delivering that paper to processes that are linked in a flow. That is why we say no MRP. Hopefully that makes sense. MRP is necessary, but MRP in this case, when it comes to scheduling, needs to be used to issue the sequence of production to the sequencing point, to the scheduling point. Hopefully only one on the line. And the more scheduling points, sequencing points you have on the line, the higher the level of complexity. That makes sense? But in many cases, it's unavoidable, right? Because if you're building tractors, computers, there are certain things that go into that tractor that change, right? That tractor may use one of three different engines, or one of 6 or 10 different types of wheels. What are you going to do? Have them all? Well, unlikely. In many cases, you're going to have to sequence the wheel assembly process or processes so they deliver exactly that set of wheels that's needed. Yeah. Now, if you build just one model of tractor where they all use the same wheels, they all use the same engine, they all use the same transmission, then you only have one sequencing point. Yeah. So those are the questions you're asking if you're put in charge of that dimension, scheduling. You're just observing. You're going to document using that spreadsheet you just downloaded. Yeah, afterwards. Again, trust me on that one. Go and see. Yeah. Next one. Now we're looking to see how things move. How is the space used? Yeah. When materials take off from wherever they take off, a supermarket, a warehouse, a shelf, something, right? How do they arrive to the line? Are they put down and picked up multiple times? Do they arrive in one straight shot? Yes. So those are the questions we start to look at. So how many times are you moving the materials? How many containers are you moving? How many different types of containers do you see? So that takes us into the thinking of container standardization, which, based on experience, is not a minor job. Where do the materials land? Are materials right by the line side? Sometimes by the line side? Is it a pretty consistent way of delivering the material? Can you tell if this one specific part is always here? How can you tell? Because it's marked on the floor, it's marked on the shelf, it's labeled. How do you know? If there are tools necessary to do the work, to set up equipment, is it near the machines? Maybe there isn't enough room to have all the tools and all the dies. Is there a dedicated space for staging the next changeover? Right? And some folks like to use the term SMED, single minute exchange of die. Are there any indications that a quick changeover methodology was implemented? How can you tell? Can you tell if the line is a line that was designed following the principles of mixed model line design, or if nothing else, flow? Can you tell if it flows? Then do a quick sampling count. Just look in one specific direction and look for fork trucks. Count the number of fork trucks you see. Pick the time. Maybe you do this for 4 minutes. You look up, count the number of fork trucks you see. And of those, identify the number of fork trucks that are running on empty forks. All right? Ask those questions and be prepared to document them later. Now, I know that right now I'm just talking about the questions and it sounds like I'm asking you to remember these things. No. You don't need to remember them. They will be in the documentation. That's part of the training. You learn to ask the questions when you go to the floor. All right? Now, somebody's going to be in charge of understanding the amount of inventory that's out there. So you go out and you try to ascertain how lean the plant, the perioperative service department, the sterile core are running in terms of amount of inventory. Yeah? So do you see big piles? Can you tell if this specific part is a few hours, a few minutes, a few days, a few months? Yeah, some of you may be laughing, but you know that I've seen it. I remember one client of mine where we actually calculated they had more than 1 year of inventory. I'm sorry, of a specific part, more than 1 year. And in hospitals, that happens all the time because hospitals don't, and I mean no disrespect with this, don't really respect the professionality of the supply chain folks. So in many cases, they have clinicians, nurses, ordering materials, right? And we all know, or we can all imagine how good a nurse is at buying. So I had a nurse buying, a charge nurse buying, a nurse manager buying, and they all bought the same medical supply. And they ended up with with endomechanical staples for, I don't know, I remember the number was over a year and a half worth of inventory. And that stuff is not cheap. So can you tell how much inventory is there? Can you tell how many minutes or hours or days of inventory is? Can you tell if those parts are flowing from process to process in an uninterrupted manner? So when a part is delivered to the floor, then what happens? Is it picked up and put away somewhere else? Is it picked up and does it go straight onto the product? Does the product move from workstation to workstation in an uninterrupted manner? Yeah. How often do you see a replenishment? Did you see any replenishments during the time you were doing the assessment? And do you see piles? Piles are not your friend. Piles cause all possible forms of waste. Piles are not your friends. And this goes specifically to my friends in the hospital world. Piles are not your friend. Now, the supply chain. This is a place where I see folks putting the cart before the oxen. Incorporating, bringing the supplier onto your supply chain is a great thing. It really is. But it should not be the first thing you do. You need to have your house in order. You need to have an internal materials delivery system that is reliable, that is predictable, that it functions properly. You must have the right containerization. You need to look at the 7 rights that we're going to teach you in the mixed model material management class. And are you close to having all 7 rights? When you have all 7 rights, then we start bringing material suppliers on board. How do we bring them on board? I want to bring them through a method of consignment. Are we going to involve them in the use of returnable containers? Can you tell while you're doing the assessment if there are containers that are returnable or capable of being used as returnables? If all you see is cardboard and large gaylords, large wire baskets, and pallets, what's the chances all those are going to be used for returnables? Very low, right? Also, when you bring suppliers on board, it has to be a win-win situation. Yeah. One of our clients brought suppliers on board, and one of their rewards was, if you manage this inventory for me, instead of net 30, you will be brought to a net 21. So that was a win-win situation. Also, could it be that another benefit to the supplier is that you will be included into an electronic system instead of having lots of paperwork to manage the replenishment of materials? So again, if you are the team member in charge of ascertaining the current state of your supply chain integration, these are the questions you're asking, looking at whether or not there are suppliers on board, whether or not there are consignment parts, whether or not there are containers capable of being used as returnables, and also how are suppliers paid, and what is the paperwork to get your suppliers involved. So with that, we're coming to the end. You have a team, you train them, they need to understand basic lean principles, and you send them out to the floor. Yeah. So to make sure that this is successful. I know I am probably the 1000th person you've heard say this, but leadership needs to understand this. Leadership needs to be trained, and it would be great actually if company leaders were able to do this assessment. Yeah. One of our clients, a long time ago, defense contractor, um, the CEO, it was his decision. We helped him out with this, but it was his decision to say, my opinion is that to make sure that my leadership team understands these lean principles, they have to be able to teach them. And different vice presidents and different leaders were asked to become an expert in one specific lean subject and to teach it. Not all the time, but every now and again, teach it. And it was actually very successful. It did help with their lean journey, and they started to see many more tangible results from the many kaizens that we're doing. Next, do the rapid plan assessment. Just do it. Try it. Well, maybe it doesn't come out the way you want it. You do it again. Yeah. Another idea, get yourself a coach, right? Sometimes there you may have someone in the plant that has done the assessment successfully. See if that person is willing to give you a hand. And maybe until you gain that experience, maybe you want to rely on some consulting help. Now, consulting help, folks, you're talking to a consultant, right? But consulting help needs to be used cautiously and always with an exit strategy. And that's the way we always recommend to our clients to look for consulting help. But sometimes you want someone with experience, even professionals, right? Like Peyton Manning and or Rafa Nadal, right? Who would have said, right? Just came back from the dead to reach the final in the Australian Open, right? Uncle Tony Nadal is following him all the time. Even he has a coach. Yeah. Have a master plan. You need to have a master plan, and this rapid plan assessment needs to be part of the master plan. You're going to see that in the roadmap that we teach, we have right at the beginning the development of the master plan. This rapid plan assessment, we always recommend doing it along with other tools like value stream mapping. And go and try it, pilot it. Yeah. Now, what can you learn about this? We want to invite you to our mixed model material management workshop. We're going to be teaching this one at Toyota. We're very grateful that the folks at Toyota host us a few times a year. And in May, from the 9th to 11th, we're going to be teaching this workshop in Columbus, Indiana. We would love to see you. And right now, what we have to offer to you is an early bird discount. We're getting started with a certification program, actually 2 certification programs, one in mixed model line design, one in mixed model materials management, and they all have an education requirement. So with this workshop, you complete the education requirement, but it doesn't mean you're done. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that with the class you are certified. After the class, there will be a pretty substantial test. Once you pass the test, there will be a project required. And once you pass the project, we will issue a certificate. So right now, this is what we have to offer for this live workshop. Now, what I'd like you to consider, if you cannot travel, and we understand, the going to a live class has all the benefits of the face-to-face interaction, being able to take the 2 tours that we do at Toyota, having the Toyota managers do the Q&A sessions during lunchtime. Unquestionably, that has enormous value. But on the other hand, we do recognize that you have to fly on Monday, right? So you don't work on Monday, then you're with us for 3 days, and then you travel back home. With any luck, you get 1 day of work that week, and we understand that is not that is not that's a lot to ask. We do recognize the value, and those of you who have attended, I'm sure you've seen the value of the class. But what we're doing is taking it to the other extreme, which is we're offering the class online. Exactly the same class we teach live, but online. We're making it available starting today. All 17 lessons is hosted in our learning management system, which we're calling the Lean Design Institute. It also completes the education requirement for the Mixed Model Material Management certification. It's exactly the same content, of course, not with the benefit of face-to-face interaction, but you can, of course, reach out to one of our instructors that will guide you through the class. As a matter of fact, one thing we will be doing for a very limited time is to do weekly coaching sessions. So if the class has 17 lessons, every week we're going to coach you on 2 of the lessons. As you can tell, the price is much less expensive. The class is almost $2,000, the live class. This is only $500. And I would like to give you a deal. And the deal I'd like to give you is this one. Look at the bottom. If you sign up, we're going to give you only a week. Only a week. If you sign up for this class online, we're going to give you 1 year of memory joggers for free. Memory joggers are valued at $300, I think $295. And the memory joggers are 50 weekly lessons. 1 lesson a week is a 5 to 7 minute lesson to remind you of something you learned in class, and a 3 quiz question. Yeah. Why a reminder? Because it activates a different part of the brain. Why a quiz? Because it also activates a different part of the brain, and it aids with retaining knowledge. Yeah. So please, Ian is also going to give you a link to go directly to the workshop, or to go directly to the page where you can sign up for the workshop. If you sign up soon, only 1 week, you will get the memory joggers for free, which is part of our certification program, and you will have the certification complete. I'm sorry, the education requirement for the certification complete. Now, folks, I need your help. I need your help. And here's what it is. I told you that we teach the workshop live, right? And many of you have come to our workshops live, and you've seen the value of the live education. We're launching this workshop online. We also have our mixed model line design workshop online, but it's online. You're learning this by yourself. We have a very animated class with interactions, with engagement portions, but still, it's you by yourself. The advantage, you can do it anytime you want, right? So that is sort of 2 extremes. Like to ask you a question, and if you would be so kind, give me a yes if you think there's value in this. What about a middle ground? We have been asked about delivering our educational materials in sort of a middle ground. And what's the middle ground? Is a live workshop, but taught online. So picture yourself in front of a computer where one of our instructors is teaching the same class you would see at Toyota, right? The same workshop, and we're going to give you all the same times, right? For the lessons, for the hands-on exercises, but this is done online. The instructor is live, the material is the same, yes, but you do it using a computer. Does that make sense? Online live training workshop. Yes, there is no travel required, right? So that'll save you that time, that expense, and it has the benefits of live communication. If you see value in this, I would appreciate your giving me a yes, because we're seriously considering adding this to our through the different methods, to different avenues to deliver our materials. I see that some of you are beginning to come in, and I really appreciate your feedback on this. So, as you know, we're always available to answer your questions, and unless there are, I see a yes with 5 exclamation points. I'm going to take that as a really big yes. So I really appreciate your feedback. I really appreciate your participating in this workshop, and looking forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions for us, feel free to send us an email. You see there Richard's email address, but you can also reach me. It's gleone, Gleone at leonardogroupamerica's.com. Or you can always give us a phone call, and we'll do the best we can to reach out to you and have a chat. All right, folks, thank you all for participating. Looking forward to next time. We will be in touch. This is Gerard signing off. Bye now.